Thank you very much, Ryan, and it's really wonderful to be with everyone this evening. I'm speaking to you from the ancestral unceded territory of the Musqueam people and in the Okanagan from the Silks Okanagan Nation. I also want to say, before I make my remarks, that this conversation, this panel is very germane to what happens at universities, not so much with regard to online hate that occurs as well, involving members of our community, but also with respect to invited speakers that come onto our campuses. So this challenge is something that's very familiar to me at the university level, and it is certainly something that needs to be discussed and resolved moving forward. So I applaud everyone on the panel for thinking that through. I'd like to thank the Chinese Canadian National Council for Social Justice, the official faith-based community convener for the province of British Columbia, and the Islam Unravelled Anti-Racism Initiative for organizing this really important event today and for inviting me to participate with the other speakers as we work together to stop Asian hate. Today's event is taking place, as we've discussed, against an alarming backdrop of anti-Asian racism and the continued tragedy of the COVID-19 pandemic, including a devastating humanitarian crisis in India. And yet, even in the face of such daunting realities, we see communities coming together, raising their voices and offering support to one another within and across borders. And that's I guess, the silver lining to this difficult situation. As we've discussed, Canada is not immune to anti-Asian racism. Yes, we do have to get over this angel complex. Systemic exclusions of Chinese immigrants began over 150 years ago and continued through the internment of Japanese Canadians during the Second World War. The more recent wave of anti-Asian rhetoric and violence was amplified by COVID-19 in this latest chapter of a long and tortured history here in Canada of anti-Asian racism. In these different moments of our history, we also know that Asian women have and continue to be disproportionately victims of anti-Asian racism and violence, as you saw in the data that was just revealed just moments ago. To my fellow Asian community members, I wanted to say that I stand with you. I share in your grief and have experienced anti-Asian racism as recently as just 10 days ago, personally. And I want you to know that I see you and share in your pain and want to do something about it. To the many organizations and people that already work to challenge ongoing forms of anti-Asian racism and discrimination here, online today, at UBC, in Vancouver, in BC, across Canada, around the world, I thank you for all the work that you have been doing for a very long time. Together, we all have a part to play in undoing these pernicious forms of racial violence and injustice. The faculty, students, and staff at UBC are going to play a part. There are many scholars who work tirelessly at our institution to combat forms of anti-Asian discrimination daily through their research and also their activism. Staff across our institution engage in anti-racism work as they deliver resources and services in support of UBC's commitments. And most importantly, students in and out of our classroom lead and advocate for social change that inspires hope, that motivates people like me. So hats off to the younger generation. Together, we all have a part to play, as I said. And I want to tell you about something that UBC is doing, and I hope you all will attend this event. On June 10th and 11th, UBC will host a two-day national forum on anti-Asian racism in Canada. And many government officials from both the provincial and federal government will be there. Community organizers, scholars, public intellectuals, as I said, key figures in government, healthcare, media, journalism, the corporate world, and the not-for-profit sector will converge to have frank discussions about the root causes of anti-Asian racism in our country. We'll be releasing 3 new opinion polls that we've commissioned from the Angus Reid Institute. And we'll have frank discussions about anti-Asian racism in Canada and around the world, with the aim of articulating how we can work together, unified, on bold and concrete recommendations for action. We need you to be there with us. There'll be sessions focusing on issues impacting Asian Canadians, coalition building across Asian Canadian communities, and other racialized communities, and effective access and advocacy for systemic change. While it's focused on anti-Asian racism, this national forum will also examine other forms of racism, in particular anti-Black, anti-Indigenous racism, and fortify our relationships in advocacy. Anti-Asian racism will not be eradicated because of this two-day forum, but I believe the forum will help spur a much-needed national conversation, and that's why media will be there. And I invite you to join us. You can find more details online at ubc.ca/anti-Asian racism. In closing, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to speak to you. Thanks everyone for being here today. We look forward to working with you the rest of tonight, but also at the forum and in the many months and years ahead. Thank you.